now a lot of people who are ready to kill each other just because we're all
Yeah.
tired. I personally like the idea of getting out that week before, and then if you have to, add on afterwards for the snow day.
Yeah.
I like your contingency days, but we have so many, one day here, one day there, one day here, one day there.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, we have to for the federal holidays, but it's just become so choppy, and then to be there until the 23rd, possibly the 24th, 5th, 6th, if you have to
Yeah.
add them all in. That's a late school year.
Yeah. And I would love to end on a Friday, right? Like I would
That
like
would be
to,
great.
right?
I would
Like
love
that's, I would
for us
love for
To
us.
be able to end on a
Yeah.
Friday.
Instead of coming in 2 half days.
Yeah. So what, so here are our constraints. We're required by the RTEA contract to have 181 school contact or student contact days plus 4 full professional development days. So we need to have 181 days of school plus those professional development days. So I can't shorten the calendar. I guess we can't do that as a board. We can't shorten the calendar. The number of days is the number of days. The option, probably the most preferable option, if we can get out early, would to take the 2 blue days that are in April and make them the 22nd and 23rd of June. So then if we don't have 2 snow days, we can get out on June 19th, and then we can just shift those half days. And then we can keep May 22nd as a potential contingency, and then the 22nd and 23rd becomes the contingency.
I like that.
I like that.
I mean, it's that simple.
It is
I
that
think
simple.
so.
And anybody else?
I agree with that.
End of the year? End of the year?
Okay.
Yes.
Contingency days at the end of the year?
I like that.
I
Friends
like
in the
that.
audience, end of the year?
Thank you.
Are we good?
Touch spring break.
What's that?
Don't touch spring
All
break.
right, don't touch spring break. But if there's more than 3, hopefully we won't have to. But there are 3 days built in. There are. So
That's-
blue days,
But that's the absolute last resort, to
Yeah.
touch spring break. No one wants to touch.
I
spring
We'd have
Especially-
to have another Sandy experience
Yeah.
in order
Yeah.
to really do
Please.
that. So
Yeah. Okay, so I will, if the board is in agreement, I will go back and revise and move 2 blue days to the end of the school year ending. So have us end on the 19th unless we need those snow days. Now, the only wrinkle, I know you're smiling, the only wrinkle is graduation. And having to kind of, the nice thing about this was knowing that you would end the school year on a certain day with the 3 snow days built in. I haven't been through graduation scheduling here in the district, so I don't know what it's like. I don't know how hard it would be to move graduation if need be.
you're gonna want to stick with it.
Stick with
You
it.
just pick that date and you stick with it. And if they happen to graduate early,
Like even if it's on Thursday, the 18th, like that, then there's 3 additional school days potentially after graduation.
you would pick.
Have you been in a middle school class? Yeah,
Say that
middle
again?
school, middle schoolers after they graduate coming back for 3 days.
We did sort of talk about that, and we were a little concerned with the attendance, and if we
Yeah.
end up being below attendance wise, could happen.
But I think the concern for attendance was also those 2 days right after spring break.
It was, we bounced
Yeah.
it back and forth, because,
Yeah,
you know,
there's
2
no
half days-
magic here. Yeah.
No, magic.
That's the only thing I don't, was switching it to the last 2 days is, we're gonna get snow. I mean, it's just, it looks nice on paper, but in reality, we're gonna end up going the 22nd, 23rd, in my opinion. I mean, again, no crystal ball here, but
Well, you still have the 22nd.
The 22nd, yeah,
true.
that'd probably be the first day, so that we could end on the 19th of June.
And would we then use President's Day and Martin Luther King Day?
I would advise against it. You know, they're holiday weekends that families usually, I think people have plans. I mean, again, we're going to run into the same attendance issue if we use a snow day and then we take away President's Day and then we take away Martin Luther King Day, we could lose student attendance and or staff attendance for those days because they are holidays.
But if the
Um,
alternative is to go those 2 half days after graduation, then that would be a bigger risk of less people, I think.
They are long months, long, cold winter months. Let me bring it back to committee. I'll give it definitely consideration. And let's see if we move those two. I mean, you move those 2 days of blue days into June, it's likely that we'll be here on the 22nd and or the 23rd. So we'll probably be in session. And we'll just have to tack on to the end of the year. It's just, there's no easy way to do it. I thought what was proposed here was probably at least the most consistent, so we could at least know graduation can be on X date and it doesn't have to be moved unless there's more than 3 snow days. And everyone knows what days are contingency days, meaning everybody knows what days are going to be added to the calendar as days in session, and then everybody knows what days will be given back if we don't use 3. And those were my goals. That's what we were trying to attempt to do, at least in the committee. I don't know. Is there anything else from committee that I'm missing that we talked about? Because we did bat this around.
Next year's calendar is just a mess. I mean, Christmas falls at such a weird time, so then we come in on Monday, and that's awful. And we struggled. We went back and forth with a couple things.
And at risk of being booed and thrown out of here, any discussion starting before Labor Day, or is that, I know our district usually is not interested in that, but because Hunter and Central, right, starts before Labor Day, or am I messing that up?
I think that, I don't know if they
I know some
did
schools
this
are
year,
on,
but some people have.
because that's the only way to really shorten the
That's the only
June
way is, yeah.
ending time.
That's a big, that was not, I did not
I
discuss
mean, I
that
know
with teachers.
It's a huge change,
Big
I know,
one.
but
It's a big change. I was attempting to avoid that, I'll be honest, like I did bring up that conversation. I can't see anywhere else in the calendar to get days out of it. It's a full days. I can bring it back to committee and back to the leadership team. I mean, my preference is April 20th and 21st, and then May 22nd, but I certainly see the 22nd and 23rd of June being another option too. Is there anything else? Anything I'm not seeing?
I do
Anything-
have
anything
to
else to
say, I
consider?
like the concept of the days built in like this.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to put a positive on this, because I do like those. I really just wish there was a way to, traditionally, not traditionally, I said the last couple of years, we haven't gotten snow until mid-February and March.
Mhm.
Like, significant. So those are the time periods we have to plan for, which is why I can understand how this would make more sense.
Yeah.
In the past, just a couple years ago, it was first Martin Luther King, then it was President, then it was to see if we had any extra days on the end of the week of the summer, of that last week before going towards spring break. I
Mhm.
think everyone's in agreement. We don't want to touch that. I'm not sure if having both of them right there is what may be throwing things off too.
Yeah. I
Because it looks unbalanced. When
Yeah.
you're looking at it color coded, it looks unbalanced also.
yeah. Yeah, I could definitely put one up, you know, like a blue day up in February 18th and have a, you know, a contingency day next to President's Day. It's just really early.
But
You know,
if
but we
have
could-
another day like.
like the
another
November
year
day,
like
then
this
we
one,
know
then
we're
we
losing
know
it.
we're back in school on the 18th already,
Right.
that's done.
Yeah,
And then we have another one, so if there was one in March, we know we'd be right back in on that one.
yeah. But I'll mock up a couple of options. See what I can,
Is there anyone that's completely opposed to the built-in days? Okay.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I like the concept of it. I mean, I like it.
yeah,
It's just a matter of where.
where to put that. And building them in like this solidifies where the end of the year, and this year, right, so this current school year with 2 days built in, we can end on a Friday, which is nice. You know, you lose days, if you will, with the way winter break falls. On occasion, you might get a Jewish holiday that falls on a weekend, you know, then you can kind of get a day back here or there. So each yearly calendar is going to fluctuate. This just happens to be a difficult one where we can't end on a Friday. Let me come up with options. I have a couple of options. Moving a blue day up to February. So February 18th would become a contingency day. April 20th would stay contingency day, and then May 22nd. And then the other option would be to potentially take April 20th and 21st and make it the 2 last days of school on the 22nd and 23rd. Let me do some graduation research and see if graduation can be moved, how much that can be moved. Because if we have flexibility with that, then we know we can move graduation if we need to move the last day of school,
I think
which
that-
is something that I don't know. I can talk to the high
Yeah,
school.
and I think the question would be, you know, if they have their hard graduation stop date, which typically Central does,
Yeah,
would it be, how difficult is it to switch it from, you know,
Yeah.
one day to the next?
yeah.
With
I'll-
enough notice, because you know early enough whether or not.
And I don't know if it was moved last year because we had an anomaly. We had to add a day onto the end of the. Did we have to add a day to the end of the year?
2017 it changed. But quite a few days, I think, due to snow. We moved to 8th grade because Hunterdon was
They were
set,
booked.
yeah, and then so we
Yeah.
went around twice.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? I'll bring a couple of options back. Talk again. Okay. The final agenda item on my superintendent's report for tonight is budget presentations. Tonight we have the curriculum department presenting pupil services and technology. So we'll start with curriculum for their budget.
I found my rotate button.
You good?
That was a little easy.
Good evening. We're going to take you through the budget one time. We're going to do this as a team, so you only have to do your flipping once this year. So we're going to start on page 1 at the student support account. And these items are our standardized assessments for G&T, our second grade, expanding the Ginger Building project, and then supplies for our book rooms, and then our new mindfulness rooms. Do you have any questions about that account? So then the next account would be instructional travel. These are the workshops and conferences that the administrative team attends. And this would include the administrators from the curriculum office. The next 2 accounts are basic office supplies, the copier, paper, things of that nature. Any questions? I'm going to turn the page. So we're on to page 2.
Good evening, Sarah Pouch, Supervisor of Math, Science, and Technology. The next account is looking at memberships for the administrative team, for the curriculum supervisor, different dues for these separate associations that we belong to. The next account is staff travel for professional development. These are state conferences for teachers in math, science, technology, and physical education. We moved all of the humanities or the ELA professional development into our ESSA grant. And the next 4 items are staff development, travel that is separated per building as the state requires us to report it out. Questions about memberships or professional development? Okay. At the bottom of page 3, under the district travel for the separate buildings, as well as, again, some more of the administrative costs with duplicating paper and the copier lease, we go into our curriculum instruction, or excuse me, curriculum introduction section. The first 3 items fall under my domain. For 8th grade science, we are in our final year of updating and implementing the next generation science standards. So each year, as we've moved through the middle school, the teachers have been allotted a small amount of money so that they can buy the materials they need for the new content that they'll be teaching that year. Next, we have math manipulatives, and this would be for our K-5 teachers who will be implementing a new math program next year. We did an inventory of what the teachers already have and drilled down to what they were missing that they would need for their instruction of the new math program, the hands-on manipulatives that kind of brings those abstract concepts more concrete for our students. And finally, we have an aerospace, what's been called a living lab. This is something we would be able to purchase so that we would be able to implement some of the aerospace instruction that we've been looking at, whether it be a club or as an encore or extracurricular. This will provide us with some material for the teachers to build off of. Any questions on those 3? All right, turn it back to Stacey.
So the majority of what's left on this account is language arts based. So it's the materials for our K-5 new, our K-5 phonics program as we prepare to implement it in the upcoming school year, and then an additional unit of study in nonfiction for the middle school to help supplement our current instructional units, and then world language magazines so that we can include more authentic reading and writing in our world language programs. Do you have any questions about those?
What's the new phonics program? Or is it new or?
It's going to be new, so we'll bring that to Ed Tech this month, but we've been piloting the 2 programs, Fontes and Pinnell, and then Teachers College in several grade levels in each in K3 grade levels in each building, 2 per grade level. And so now we've chosen we've chosen the product we would like to present to Ed Tech. So this would be the funds for that. So then the following page is textbooks and curriculum. So the majority of this are mentor texts and level readers to continue to supplement our book rooms and then classroom libraries or read aloud libraries in K through 8 to continue to improve the selections for our honors program, which are still fairly new, and then to have a strong focus on additional titles that are of high interest to our male population, our reluctant reader population, and then our culturally supportive and inclusive, so that we have a variety of books available for our variety of learners in our district.
The top 2 items in this account are the Ready Math / iReady program that will be our newly adopted K-5 math program. This includes teacher's manuals, student texts, as well as the digital teacher toolbox. The digital component is called iReady, and that program is an adaptive diagnostic program that provides individualized instruction to aid teachers with blended learning. They will also be able to assign specific skills that the teacher wants the student to work on as well. This also includes several sessions of professional development, not only for the staff, but for the administrators to utilize the reports that the iReady program will generate for us. The second item is the Great Body Shop for K-3, would be material that teachers will be able to use to implement some of the health standards. It becomes over a series of 10 lessons, so one a month. It comes as almost like a little periodical or similar to a weekly reader, and it walks the students through the health standards for K-3. Any questions on the math or health? And we're on to the next page, which is curriculum writing.
So this summer, we're planning to open all of these curriculum maps to ensure that they are CUSAC compliant when we have our CUSAC audit in the future. So over the summer, we'll start that work and hopefully we'll be able to finish it. If not, we'll still have another summer to continue to work on those documents to make sure that they're as they should be when we have CUSAC. There's also some word study resource and word list work as we work on choosing our word study program for 3 through 5. That time will be spent to create some resources and word lists for the teachers to use once our program is in place. Do you have any questions? Then I'm going to turn the rest over to Sherry.
Hi, my name is Sherry Cryle. I'm Supervisor of Staff Development. On these last 2 pages, you'll see the staff development stipends. They have been divided into each school. The state requires that this year, so that is divided equally, or as close to equally among each school. It covers for our summer teacher academies. We do 3 sets of academies, fall, spring, and also in the summer. Are there any questions for that our teachers want to get the stipends for? Anyone have any questions? We typically run between 24 and 29 academy sessions, so it works out very well. Okay, thank you. Jim?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Belsky. I'm the IT coordinator. I'll be going through some additions and changes to our upcoming technology budget, so please stop me at any time if you have any questions on any item we go through. Okay, so starting on page 1, outside technical support, that's a line item for additional technical issues or procedures that we would have internally where we would need to go out for a subject matter expert that is used as needed. Scrolling down, we have travel onto page 2. This is our main software, and some of these are redundant. Some of these were commented by Sarah and Stacy as far as curriculum items for software. So there'll be a mix inside different account items within the technology budget. I'm going to talk about a couple of them here, though. Linkit is a new data warehousing assessment solution. It's for analytics of our student information records, and Genesis assessments, student information system. SchoolWire's website hosting. Our website cost may actually be reduced from what is currently budgeted here. This is pending further review of services and add-on needs for the district. Some services we may be removing this upcoming year. Scrolling through anything, please stop me if there's any questions on page 2.
I had a question regarding the IXL on here.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, are we still using that? Do the teachers still want that?
I'm going to pass that along to Sarah.
Yes. IXL is one of our most highly used programs by the teachers, mostly because it provides online instruction or practice all the way from preschool to calculus. So teachers are able to use it for students who might need reinforcement on prior skills, as well as providing advanced or enrichment opportunities for students who need more. We can certainly run a teacher usage and get that report from the company, and we could bring that to Ed Tech or the rest of the board as needed. But every year when we run it, it's one of our most highly used programs.
Okay, great, thank you.
Jim, excuse me, Jim, I just
Sure.
want to ask a question. Could you go back just a little bit? On this line, it appears in the last 2 years that it's gone up approximately 20%, roughly speaking. Is that a trajectory that you anticipate continuing, or is it just the turnover of?
For the software, the one that we're on page 2, right? 222,590.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So a lot of these items are software addition, and they are increasing significantly each year as more and more items become software services or subscriptions. We do definitely see an increase. And we actually have other items that are software curriculum related, which are an additional account items. But yeah, I would say yes to your question. As more and more things are software based, we're paying for that software use. We do go through each and every one of these and we look to see what we need. If there's something that we do need to pull out, we certainly will pull it out. But the increase definitely has been going up over the last couple of years.
In any cases, is this supplanting the use of hard textbooks, or is this all just standalone?
I would pass that along. I mean, a lot of this is digital. Actually, all of this is digital. So is the question, is this going to replace textbooks completely?
I'm just wondering if there's, in any circumstances, are these online, is the software access to online materials replacing the need to purchase textbooks?
Oh, I think definitely in some, yeah, thank you, Stacy.
Not in this particular budget, but if you recall from last year or the year before when we bought social studies textbooks, we were able to purchase just one class set and a few extras in case a student had trouble using the online textbook. They had the hard copy, and we have a one class set that sits in each classroom so that the students can use them if needed, but they're mostly expected to access the book online now that we have the one-to-one initiative. So that is the direction that we're moving in, although we still do have hard textbooks should the children need to use them, but far fewer of them than we have in the past. So it's a substantial cost savings in that regard.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to page 3, additional software. So we did break down some of the software. If a certain school is only using certain software, you'll see the breakdown here for each building. And each school is indicated in each line item. Just a better way for us to account for which school and building is using what. Any questions? Page 3? Okay.
Can I ask one for, I guess it's 2
Sure.
or 3?
Yeah.
It's just kind of a curiosity thing for myself. I see a pretty heavy reduction in the budgeting for travel training for teachers and so in the curriculum budget, this budget. Is that something that varies from year to year, or is that there changes in that?
So from a teacher perspective,
Well, I just, look at the, past years and this year and next year, and it seems like that category has pretty much dropped, it looks like, by about 50% between the budgets. I didn't know if that was like a.
I'm going to pass that
policy or
along.
desire.
I'm going to sit down.
That is a fabulous question. We're anticipating the ability this year to use Title I money for some of our professional development. So although it doesn't appear in this particular budget, it is earmarked for the grant that we'll write in June. So it's there, it's just not right in here.
It's like you're saying it's still occurring.
It's still
the same
occurring,
amount, but just coming from different. places.
coming from a different place.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, page 4. Line item 23530. This is our line item for internet and WAN service. We are up for renewal for a district-wide internet and site-to-site WAN connection this year. We put out an RFP and received 3 proposals for renewal options. After reviewing all the proposals and evaluating, we determined CenturyLink did provide the most cost-effective alternative and least amount of operational impact. CenturyLink is the current provider that we have in the district now as well. Did you want me to go into detail on the E-rate or no? Just go through general, okay. Overall, good news is speeds go up and costs come down as we continue to use, obviously, internet and WAN. All right, and on page 5, this is our line item for our student information system. This is district-wide. Scrolling through page 6, memberships. Page 7, I'm going to touch on this real quick. Page 7, we need to renew our license for our Meraki network. So this line item includes a renewal for 5 years for all access points, network switches, and firewall within the district. This will provide us with software support for all critical network equipment through 2020. So it's a one-time cost this year. We won't have additional costs until 2020. Just a couple more items in this line item. We're looking for a teacher, looking to update teacher laptops. We have a pool of tablets at the middle school we'll be refreshing. Chromebooks, moving on to Hollenbrook. So we will be getting some additional, as we anticipate student enrollment growth in Hollenbrook, we're going to be adding some Chromebooks at that school. Just a reminder, all grades currently 4th through 8th have Chromebooks. So we'll continue that initiative and just add some additional devices for anticipating increased enrollment over at Hollenbrook. We'll also be completing upgrading the Chromebook carts over at Hollenbrook. Moving on to Chromebooks for elementary at the bottom of page 7. So the overall plan for Chromebooks is to have a one-to-one initiative in all grades from 2nd through 8th. So we would like to, next year is to have Chromebooks in grades 2nd and 3rd. So the plan would be to upgrade all the devices at White House and Three Bridges with new Chromebooks, collect the Chromebooks, provide them to the middle school so they can continue their one-to-one initiative. They actually have a take-home initiative. The benefit of distributing devices in this manner allows us to keep each building on a separate schedule, separate refresh cycle, and that way all the schools are updated evenly over a course of 3 to 4 years. But at the completion of this initiative in the summer, all grades 2nd through 8th will have one-to-one Chromebook assignments. Any questions on Chromebooks? Okay. And then on the last page, page 9, looking to just implement one additional smartboard over at Hollenbrook. We are looking to investigate alternatives over at the middle school. The middle school currently has 40 to 50 smartboard panels with projectors that are approaching 8 to 10 years. So that's going to be up for a refresh. So what we would like to do is to investigate options to replace them. We may not need the same interactive capability that we have in the elementary school. So the plan will be to implement some options for teachers to look at to see how that will fit for them when we decide what is the best fit for the refresh. And then just one additional smartboard over at Three Bridges. That is all I have. Any questions? Yes.
You mentioned the WAN.
Yep.
Okay. In there, do we add a couple line items to get to the 36? Because the line item says, I think 27 for the WAN, but the bid was 36. So am I adding a couple of those lines together to get to 36?
So 36, what page are you looking at? What?
The 36 36 is in the actual agenda, talking about the
Oh.
WAN service, 36,000, representing the total contract sum. I just want to make sure I'm comparing apples to apples.
I'm sorry, per month, got it, yes. So the 3634.
Versus the 37 and, right?
27.
I mean, 27.
Yeah, so the recommended proposal was for 36 months at 3634. And that was for internet and WAN. And your question was comparing that to,
Looking for the line item again.
we were paying, I think, 39 if we add the WAN and the internet.
That's what okay, so you're combining the 27
Correct,
and the 20.
yes, that's
And now
exactly
we're
that.
gonna be at 36.
Correct.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep, you got it. Okay, thank you. Here you go, Karen.
They saved the best for last. Good evening. I'm Karen Tucker, the Supervisor of Pupil Services. So for our new board members, Pupil Services is an umbrella for any service that touches students. So it includes school counselors, nurses, our child study team members. Those are the folks who do the special education evaluations, PT, physical therapy, occupational therapy, English as a second language, students who receive 504 accommodations, special education, and our behavior support personnel. So those are the folks that you'll find in this particular budget. So if we start on page 1, the first section is tuition for private schools for students with disabilities. So we are projecting for next year to have 11 students out of district. The current budget includes 8 students and about $90,000 of contingency money should we need to place another student out of district. And 3 student placements would be funded by our federal grant money. Questions? The next section of the budget is for our health services. So the first section, health services purchased professional and technical services, has a large increase. This includes the cost of a nurse to ride the bus with a student with a medical condition. It's a new item in the budget. Typically, this has been budgeted in other areas in the district budget, and it's been moved into the pupil services budget. Page 2 continues with budget for nursing services. So it includes travel and workshops for nurses in all of our 4 buildings. Those are the first 4 lines. The next line is for medical supplies for our school health offices. This would be EpiPens, things like that. And the Ralph Heart Start are supplies for our AEDs throughout the district. Then the next 4 lines would be general health office supplies for the school health offices. So that's your latex or non-latex gloves, your Band-Aids, that kind of stuff, you know, all the consumable kinds of things. The next 4 lines are for medical waste disposal for the health offices. Questions about nursing supplies or services? So that brings us to page 4. And on top of page 4 are services for occupational and physical therapy and services from the Commission for the Blind. We have 6 students in our district who receive those services. It's a consultant that visits our district and provides specialized materials for our kids with vision impairments. And it also includes the cost of services for our extended school year program. The next section is workshops and travel for our behaviorists and our speech therapists. So that would be, bring us to the top of page 5. On page 5, towards the middle, are materials for our PT and OT and our behaviorists. The next section, another 4 lines are speech office materials. So this would be therapy materials used with the children in their speech sessions. On page 6, at the top line item is recertification for our behaviorists who provide our crisis management training to our teachers. Then we have contracted services for extended school year, should we need to hire a nurse or speech services. Typically, we put that out to our own staff, and most often we've been able to have our own staff cover those speech or nursing services, but we do occasionally run into a situation where everybody wants the summer off and we need to look for a contracted employee. Then there's a whole bunch of stuff that's zeroed out, and in the middle of all of that, there's the FM systems. We're projecting the need for 2 systems, one at White House School and one at Three Bridges. These systems will replace the current, our district about 10, 12 years ago, we wired all of our classrooms with FM sound field systems. Those systems are no longer repairable. Many of them do not work. So what we're finding is for students with hearing impairments, really the best method of addressing their needs is to purchase a system that will link directly to their hearing aids. So it's a personal unit for students, but we're able to purchase units that could be used with different students. So it's not, if I buy it for you, it's yours forever. Once you age out, we could use the system with another student. So we're projecting the need for 2 for next year. On page 7 at the top, the first line item is for translations for documents for our families who are non-English speakers. And
Hey, Karen, just you're on for the board.
Oh.
This is the middle of our page 5, just so you know.
oh, okay.
I lost you for a minute and now I'm back. I found you.
They
So-
gave me a printout with lots of things zeroed out. So. I have 18 pages to go through with you.
No, we only
It's all-
have
we
12.
only- we have
We have
12. I'll follow along, and every once in a while I'll give you an update on where Karen is.
And I would tell you what they mean, but the little title that they give, sometimes I don't even know what that title stands for. There's just so many words. So
We are middle of page 5 right now with FM systems and then translation. Everybody good?
I'm good.
Okay.
okay. So my next section is at the top of a page, and it's regular student support purchased professional E. And that's for translations. So that's for documents that we would need to translate for our non-English speaking parents. And there's a small amount of money should we need a translator. We're very lucky right now. Our Mandarin families, we use our Mandarin teachers, and our Spanish families, we use our Spanish teachers. But should we have a family that would have another language, we would need to hire a translator for special education meetings. The next section, and there will be 4 travel sections. These are for the school counselors. So we budget a small amount of money for the counselors to attend a workshop each year. So the next section is 11 000-218-600-30. It's regular student support supplies. So there's 4 line items for this. They're labeled by school, and they're for the school counseling offices. So for the school counselors to be able to purchase materials for use with counseling groups, or to supplement our like Red Ribbon Day and school violence awareness week activities, those kinds of things. Questions? Okay, the next section is special student support, other purchased services.
Top of page 7, everybody, just so you know.
So these are medical evaluations that we would be required to provide for students being referred for special education. So it includes emergency mental health evaluations for students who are experiencing difficulty at school, assistive technology, neurodevelopmental, and I don't know, do you have all the list of the different things that we do?
They get the things in there.
Some second opinion. There is a new item in this section. It's for an itinerant teacher of the deaf to support our students with hearing impairments who need consultation in the classroom, special materials, adjustments for their hearing aids. The teacher actually will come in, work with the students, and then consult with the classroom teachers. We will have students who will require this service, one at Three Bridges and one at White House next year. Next 4 line items are travel for this is worded differently, so I have to figure this out. I think it's for child study team members to travel between the buildings. So it would be for case managers for students. Thank you, Jason. Before the case managers for students with special education needs to attend meetings at different buildings. Everybody has a responsibility at more than one building. The next section is general office supplies, copier, some licenses for some of our special ed software. Then we move on to general supplies for pupil services, toner for the child study team case managers in the buildings, updated testing materials for the school psychologists and learning consultants, and of course, copier paper. The next section is professional development and workshops for me. And then dues and memberships as per my contract. Okay, now I'm on page 12, and the next section is bedside instruction. So we're together? Okay. So this is for students who require out of school instruction, often looked at as home instruction, but these would be students who are actually inpatient, either at the hospital or receiving some kind of in a treatment facility. The next section would be travel for home instruction for students in their home, and we're sending tutors out to provide services in the home. Questions? So now we're going to move into special education supplies. The first item is field trip costs for our students who receive life skills instruction. Again, it's divided into 3 schools. All of the kids in our self-contained classes, with the exception of preschool, attend monthly field trips. The middle school students go out twice a month. These are to help students generalize skills in the classroom that they're learning and to practice their skills in a community setting. The next section is LLD, which is our Learning and Language Disabilities class, teaching materials. That class is located at Hollenbrook School in the first section. And you'll see the BD class, that's the new class that we're proposing adding to Hollenbrook School. So this class would be brand new to our district, and it would serve students with emotional and behavioral disorders. So that's new in this particular budget. The next section would be supplies for our White House LLD class. And then we're going to have 4 sections of supply money, one for each of the schools, for our resource center, which is our small group pull-out special education classes. So first is Hollenbrook, then middle school, Three Bridges, and then White House is the last school. We always budget a little bit of money for textbooks because often what happens when our curriculum supervisors order textbooks, we're never really sure how many special ed teachers are going to require textbooks. So we have a little bit of a cushion in case we need that. The next line is listed as autistic supplies. So the very first line is for Reddington Middle School. This is a new budget item. We are moving the current autism program from Hollenbrook School up to middle school for next year. So the teacher who will teach that will need a supply budget. And then the second item in that, the second line item would be for the supplies for our program for autistic students at White House School. The next section is for our preschool disabled classes. These are at Three Bridges School. And we have 3 different preschool teachers. So those are all listed separately. And then the last section would be for our bilingual program for our ESL teacher, travel to and from schools, workshops. The next line would be for her state testing materials and for scoring of those materials. And then the last item would be her teaching materials, classroom supplies. Questions?
If you don't mind, can you just say a little bit more about the first page, the students that we're sending out of district? Do they have the opportunity to receive those services in district, or do parents have no option?
These would be students that we've exhausted all of our district resources, and the program that they would require is beyond our capability to provide. So we look for another resource for them.
Thank you.
Question on home instruction. So the agenda items that we get each meeting, where there's home instruction, so there's that travel. So I see that in here.
Mhm.
Does that cover all of those? Or does it come out of someplace else? Is everything in that one section? All of their travel, that 11, 150, 100, 580, and 580. It's on my page 9.
So the travel, that would be for our teachers to go out to do that covers that,
And that
yes.
covers all of it?
Yeah, because typically the kids, teachers are reimbursed for travel to and from the school to the student's home. So it's all very local.
Does White House School, for their resource room, general supplies, have the same breakdown as everyone else?
I base my supply purchase on actual need. So we ask the teachers to let us know what they need. White House actually received a lot of supplies for their resource centers this year, so their projected need for next year is much more minimal.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Those are the three budget presentations this evening. If there are no further questions, that concludes my superintendent's report. Okay.
Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you, everyone.
So we are now open to the public, limited to action items on the agenda. Not hearing any. Moving into correspondence, we had 2 correspondence since our last meeting. Administrative report, can I get a motion to adopt 1.01?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions on 101? Not hearing any, can I get a roll call, please?
Chair Beatrice,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carl Hample,
Yes.
Bob McKaven,
Abstain.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Eric Zwirling,
And that's, 2.01 is minutes.
101, which is the
101, I'm
hit.
sorry. Yes.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon,
Yes.
passes.
Minutes, can I get a motion to adopt 2.01 to 2.02?
So moved.
Second.
We had a correction on 2.01. The minutes from January 15th. If I can find them. Specifically under unfinished business.
To see by the state of New Jersey. It doesn't affect our audited financial numbers though, so they basically presented some of the key components. I'll just go over a few of those. On the revenue side, tax levies increased 2%. The state aid operating was about 6.7%. Some expenditure categories, instruction was an increase of 91,000 approximately, and then which is a 0.7. Tuition special needs, that went up 62%, and that's due to the fact we had new special needs students move in district. Pupil transportation is also related to that. It's increased about 15.5%. Employee benefits increased about 3.5%, which is actually the CPAs were treating that as a modest increase compared to other districts due to the healthcare consortium that we're insured with. And then there's a debt service number kind of jumps out. That's we refinanced, if you remember, 2 years ago, 2 years ago. So because of the refinancing, that number you'll see it jumped up about $1.9 million. But then again, that's you'll see that number go down over the remaining years. The debt's expected to be repaid within 9 years. Capital projects, the RMS walkway lighting project is substantially completed for the 2019 school year 2019-20 capital projects. The vestibules, we received the updated architectural plans and revised estimated costs. As previously discussed, the 3 bridges costs increased due to architectural changes. We should have At the time, we did not have the final plans. Those should have been received by now, but we did have the final cost. So the estimated cost for the district is now approximately 1 million, which is an increase of, increased about $50,000 from the new cost. So the total cost is now about $1 million, $1,066,000. And the committee is recommending approval so the bidding process can begin. On the RMS locker rooms, we received revised architectural plans for the refresh. The total estimated cost was about $625,000, which only includes 2 locker rooms near the new gym and not the locker rooms near the gym. So the girls' room and the boys' room. The committee felt this cost was extremely expensive considering the work that was needed. So the committee recommended to cancel this project. Mr. Ray stated that the maintenance department could complete a refresh project, which would include painting, minor work, some tile work, without performing a complete renovation. This would likely occur during the summer of 2020 due to the projects already scheduled for his department the summer of 2019. Inside that locker room was a alternate bid to do a match storage room. So now that the whole project's canceled, that will also be canceled. But Mr. Race's department will also be able to do that in-house for about an estimated cost of $10,000. A couple of other projects that were discussed. These are new that kind of popped up out of need. There's a condensate tank at Three Bridges. It's recently found a house corrosion. It's been temporarily repaired, but needs to be replaced this summer. The approximate cost of that would be $15,000. And then as earlier presented, the Meraki software is set to expire. And so you've seen that as Mr. Belsky pointed out in the budget for the 5-year renewal. For dental for paraprofessionals, clerk aides, and bus drivers, as previously discussed, this dental plan is now offered to this group of employees with the premium being paid by the employees. 10 employees have signed up, which is the minimum number of enrollments mandated by the insurer. And then most agenda items you'll see tonight are standard except for the CenturyLink and the increase in preschool tuition. And there's no increase in price by CenturyLink. So the committees are recommending approval of the agenda items. The bill list contains the usual items and committee recommends approval. And then for the budget, we discussed some initiatives that had the potential budget impact. And then other budget items was an additional class 3 officer for school security. Substitute rates were discussed. After school coverage discussion was tabled. We discussed preschool tuition and transportation rates, and summer sports program revenue and expenses were discussed. And we have planned the next meeting for January 31st, which those minutes are budget timelines. This meeting was basically just for just discussions concerning the budget. So a couple of key dates for the budget timelines. March 12th, it's the presentation of the budget at the board meeting and tentative approval. March 20th is the submission of preliminary budget to the county for review. And April 30th would be the board meeting with budget hearing and final adoption of the budget. And then the committee reviewed the preliminary budget through budget history, enrollment, projected revenues, and expenses. And then some of the major items, action items remaining. The department budget hearings, you heard one tonight, there'll be one on the 26th. There's the state budget software entry. The release of state aid is expected to be the first week of March. There's the budget presentation and vote on a tentative budget to send to county for review, March 13th. And then, as I said, April 30th, the vote on final budget. And then in April, the budget postcard will need to be sent out. And then again, the discussions for initiatives for next school year was tabled due to time constraints. And the next meeting is planned for March 4th. And that's it.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the minutes or the agenda items?
Yes, one question. First, Ray, thank you very much for those comprehensive reports. I just wanted to discuss just a quick question about the 2017-2018 audit. The line that did jump out, which was the substantial increase in the debt service. So we did refinance, and help me because I don't remember exactly the terms under which we refinanced. is it that we refinanced to a shorter term that there was such an increase in the annual increase from the prior year, or why are we seeing such a significant increase? I mean, overall, when we financed, we did it to save money. I mean, is that the bottom line? Yes, everybody's shaking their head, okay. That's, as long as that's the case, then I guess that's a satisfactory response. It just looks like, I mean, when you see the tremendous increase from last year, that's, okay. Did we go to a shorter term? What is the reason for the increase this year?
Jason, please.
So you actually see it during our presentation for the budget. There's annual savings now relating to debt service tax levy that the taxpayers will feel moving forward because of the refinancing. So we'll actually be raising less money in taxes for the next 8 years that will benefit the taxpayers. The one-time increase that you see relates to when you have to pay back the bonds because you're essentially refinancing them and reissuing them. So there's a transaction accounting that needs to occur, but it's temporary in nature and doesn't really affect the amount you have to pay over the period of time. It actually shrinks it. So it's more of just accounting disclosures rather than real life money.
Thank you for that explanation.
Are there any other questions on the agenda items or the minutes? Not hearing any, can I get a roll call, please?
Jared Beatrice,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Hample,
Yes.
Rob McCallum,
Yes.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Eric Zorling,
Yes.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes.
Passes.
Education technology, can I motion to adopt 4.01 to 4.08?
Second.
We do not have a committee report this evening. Are there any questions on the agenda items? Not hearing any, can I get a roll call, please?
Jared Beatrice,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Hample,
Yes.
Rob McCallum,
Yes.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Eric Zorling,
Yes.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes.
Passes.
Personnel, can I get a motion to adopt 5.01 to 5.05?
So move.
Second.
We have a committee report.
It's pretty short, but the one big thing that we do have is the job fair scheduled for February 12th to try to recruit substitute teachers and substitute bus drivers. So it'd be helpful. Obviously, there's a shortage during certain times of the year. It'd be great if anybody knew anybody. Where is that location? Is it here?
Here.
Okay. So there's, if I should talk this way or this way, but you guys already know.
Into the phone.
But any help we can get to kind of recruit us potential applicants to kind of, we're looking at all kinds of different ways to try to get those numbers up and get the coverage we need. So there's 2 time periods. One is 10A to 12P, and then 5P to 7P in this building. And then obviously want to help these people. If you get them here, we'll try to get them expedited. All the people are going to be here, explain all the processes, the fingerprinting, anything we could do to kind of bring people into the mix would help. And everybody, has this piece of that. So that was really the biggest part of the meeting for the public side of it. Obviously, there's certain, staffing and personnel issues that were discussed that we can't discuss publicly. And same thing with some different potential staffing initiatives and different programs that we're looking to try to do to, best serve the kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the agenda items or the minutes?
Just real quick, the subs would start for this school year or for next school year?
I think it's meant to get them on board as
As soon as possible. If as soon as we get clearances and everything like that, you may see a March agenda item that might have a list of, I can only guess how many substitutes that might be ready to go. So anytime they're ready, we're willing to have them. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Not hearing any, can I get a roll call, please?
Jared Beatrice,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Hample,
Yes.
Rob McCallum,
Yes.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Eric Swirling,
Yes.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes.
Passes.
Communications? Can I get a motion to adopt 6.01?
So moved.
Second.
We have a committee report.
From Thursday, January 24th at 3:30. Discuss some board goals to continue to improve communications and expand community engagements with all of our stakeholders, including expanding our use of Twitter and Facebook for all the individual schools, using social media as a chance for teachers to kind of tell their stories of what's going on in the classrooms. We discussed Dojo that was used by several staff members for communication that's already being used in classrooms. Investigating add-ons to Blackboard, offering teacher academies for Twitter, and continuing with our monthly newspaper articles. Then the policies and regulations we covered, use of school facilities. We were looking at some revisions. Our current policy is up and running, but the need for revisions included reviewing some samples from Flemington Raritan as well as Hunterdon Central. We're looking at some similar provisions that Hunterdon Central has in terms of tiers for use of our building, chance for revenue to be made, and for more of our facilities to be used for community opportunities. I'm going to stick with superintendent maintaining the right to refuse requests that don't adhere to our district values. Policy 2610, educational program evaluation revisions require more than 2 pieces of data for evaluation. First read tonight. A policy about service animals, not just therapy or emotional support, service animal specific. We had to run that through our insurance, but first read of that is tonight as well. School district security, language was changed to include an expert in school safety and security in addition to just administration. First read this evening as well. Procurement procedures for school nutrition, slight update in the chart, first read for that as well. And last was dealing with memorials. The old policy included some subjective choice of wording with flying flag at half mast. First read for that as well. School calendars, which we discussed tonight already. And that is it.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the policies up for first read? Any questions on the minutes? Not hearing any, can I get a roll call, please?
Jared Beatrice,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Hample,
Yes.
Rob McCallum,
Yes.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Eric Swirling,
Yes.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes.
Passes.
Moving into unfinished business. Does anybody have anything they want to bring up again? No. Okay, new business from the board? Anybody? No? Okay. We're now open to the public. Anything on or off the agenda? No? Okay. We're going to move into executive now. Can I get a motion to adjourn to executive session in accordance with the Sunshine Law to discuss a student matter, a HIB, and legal matters relating to employee 5885, approximately 30 minutes, at which time the board expects to return to public session where no action will be taken. The matters discussed will be made public if and when the circumstances requiring confidentiality no longer exist. However, it is not presently known when such circumstances will exist. Can I get that motion?
So, second?
Can I get a roll call?
Jared Beatrice,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Hample,
Yes.
Rob McCallum,
Yes.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Eric Swirling,
Yep.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes. Okay.